Hey, good afternoon or good morning, whatever it is, America. All I know is right now it's winter time in Philadelphia. So we won't be talking about the air conditioning unit because we don't use them in the wintertime. And we'll probably be talking about this space heater and why it's even here. And why am I here at my mother-in-law's house? Since we are here at my mother-in-law's house, let me show you a couple things. Here's my sister-in-law, Lisa, one of the sweetest people in the entire world, and her husband, also a top-notch individual, Neil Bowser. Oh, I love these people. And if you look just up here to, let me move a second so you can see. If you look right here, this is not just a picture of my wife's wedding dress. If you look way up in the corner right there, next to, right there in the corner, I'm actually in the picture. I'm actually made it into one of my own wedding photos. What do you think of that, huh? Yeah, so come on over here and take a look at these pictures. This is my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, like I said. And if you look, just so you know, I wasn't making it up. If you look way up in the corner, there's me. All right, here's the big, huge space heater we're going to replace. It's an 8-footer. It's electrical. It runs off a 110, but we'll get into that in just a second, shall we? It's so big, Tommy. It's so big. So yeah, you can read all about this space heater right there. It's an 8-foot baseboard heater. It's electric. It says it's 240 volts, but that just means it's capable of running off of 240 volts. It doesn't mean you have to run it off of 240 volts, but you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that unless you read the damn directions, which is what we're going to do right now. Skim over and read the wiring diagram. You want to read the wiring diagram. The wiring diagram tells you everything. I can wire this thing in probably 2 or 3 or maybe 4 different ways. And this is a simple electronic appliance. Imagine what you'd have to do if you were installing something more complicated. However, we're not. Read the instructions. That's the point. Read the instructions. I don't care how smart you think you are. I don't care if you think you're some sort of genius. I don't care if you have been to engineering school or if you're an electrical engineer. Okay, read the directions. This is electricity we're talking about. It's not a joke. It's just math. Technically, I'm a low voltage electrician. Now, if I was a real electrician in Philly, I would probably talk a little bit more like this here, all right? I would say things like, hey, look at this freaking guy. Why is he always jerking me off? I might say something like, hey, what do you mean? And then my friend would say, what do you mean? What do I mean? What'd I just freaking say? Anyhow, if I was a real electrician in Philly, I would talk like this. But I'm not. I'm a low voltage electrician. So, like, what does that mean? It means that I don't deal with any type of voltage that could kill you, man. And let me tell you something about doing data work, man. When you're like a data electrician, man, there's just so many colors that you gotta deal with. It's enough to keep you occupied for hours, man. I totally dig it. Why am I here today? I'm here today. The reason that I'm here today is actually a little irritating and maybe a little bit funny, I guess. You see, my mother-in-law, aka my mom, she tried to do me a favor because she knew I was working. She called a heating company to come fix this baseboard heater. So you'd think that if a heating... Shut up. So you'd think that if a heating company... Well, I won't say which Philadelphia heating company it was, but it does rhyme with electric baseboard heater. Wouldn't you send a guy who knows how to use a voltage meter? I would. So the guy that came by didn't know how to use a voltage meter, which is pretty irritating seeing how he charged my mother-in-law $65 to come by that day. And the diagnosis that he gave her was that the wiring from the circuit breaker, which is way over there, was bad. Somehow a wire got damaged between the circuit breaker all the way across on the other side of the room and here, which is where the wiring harness is for the baseboard heater. See, you probably don't recognize the baseboard heater because I took it off. I took off this kick plate thing here. That's how it used to look. So it looked like a nice baseboard heater, but this is what they look like when you take the skirt thing, kick plate thing off. Anyway, here's the wiring back in here. I'm not going to do anything to the wiring until I check with something like either a voltage meter or one of my favorite tools in the world, a voltage indicator. This is a wireless, non-probe voltage indicator, which means that if there is electricity running through a wire and you want to find out if it's got electricity in it and you're about to work on a wire, all you got to do is push the button. Now that this is on and blinking, I can test it on a live wire to make sure that I know that this tool is indeed working. It's working. It's telling me there's voltage in this big, giant, thick, jacketed extension cord. So I've already turned the circuit breaker off, which is of the utmost importance. If you're going to do anything like this, you don't want to touch those wires unless you know for certain that there's no voltage running through them. I already tested with my voltage meter. This video is not about how to use a voltage meter. However, they're not that difficult to use, and you can watch a YouTube video on it. I haven't made one yet. Probably not going to make one anytime soon, so I recommend you find somebody else to teach you about a voltage meter. Right now, I'm going to teach you how to use this. So like I said, I know there's no voltage running through those wires because I just turned off the circuit breaker, which I know is correct, and I double checked with this. You see what this is? You see, a voltage meter is kind of like a detective. You know what I mean? It puts on glasses, it gets out magnifying glass, and a voltage meter can tell you exactly what's going on inside them wires. Exactly what's going on inside them wires. But this little baby, this here gives you a second opinion. Not only will it give you a second opinion, it'll save your goddamn life one day. It'll save your goddamn life. Oh, it's so hard for me not to curse when I'm talking about the guy that came to my mother-in-law's house and misdiagnosed this heater problem. Because it really pisses me off. Basically, I think he was either too drunk or too fat to get down here and use his voltage meter. Either that, or he just didn't want to use a voltage meter, or either that, or he just didn't know how to use one. Because here's the wires coming from the breaker. These are my wires coming out the wall. And I already tested them with my voltmeter, and I have 120 volts running through them wires when I turn on the breaker. There's no shorts, no nothing. So, I think the guy just didn't know what he was doing and was too embarrassed or too lazy to tell anybody, and he charged my mother-in-law. But I got the money back because I called his boss up and I told him what he did, and I explained to his boss that he has an employee diagnosing electrical problems that don't know how really to take care of electrical problems. You shouldn't be walking around telling people what's wrong with their house electrically if you don't even know how to use the voltage meter. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I'm going to calm down now. And we're going to fix this goddamn thing. Hi guys, what are you doing? I'm going to show you now, without advertising for Southwire, I'm going to... Hey, how's it going guys? I'm going to show you how to take this darn thing off the wall. It's really not that hard. There's only like probably 2 or 3 screws holding this whole damn thing up. I know it looks real complicated and heavy duty installed, but that's just because it's been painted and caulked a bunch of times. And let me tell you, man, they caulked the shit out of it. That's an industry term, by the way, caulking the shit out of it. Technical. Highly technical. Anyway, you just got to look right underneath these little, you got to look right under here in this little area, and you're just going to find 1 or 2 screws. I'll show you how to take them out in just a second. Gosh darn it. Why do I have to do everything? Okay, so the batteries are running low. What I'm going to do is I'm going to score where this meets the wall with a razor knife. That way, when I take it off, I don't peel a bunch of paint up. If I score a nice line and then I take the heater off, all this caulk will come with it instead of pulling a bunch of paint off with it. So I'm going to score a nice line, then I'm going to get all the screws. There's only about 2 or 3, and they're usually right under here. Once the heater's off, it's really easy to dig around there and find out where they're at. Take those screws out, and this whole thing will just fall right off. Okay. I got all the screws out. I cut along the top, and now we're going to pull this thing off. And it's actually pretty damn neat. Gotta feed these wires through.
Maybe you can't tell a joke, but when your stuff gets broke, what do? You give Tommy a call, whether it's large or small. There's no project he can't see through.
These are the things you do for your mother-in-law when she watches your kids all the time. This is what you do. If your mother-in-law takes care of you, you take care of your mother-in-law. That's just how it goes. As a matter of fact, if your mother-in-law is looking out for your kids and you're not taking care of her, shame on you. You go out and buy her some flowers right now, you son of a... So we need to get inside this. This is where the wiring harness is. Harness. As if you were going to harness the electricity necessary to power the heating unit. Harness. The wiring harness is in here. Let's take it out. If you'd like to see more not so serious DIYs like this one, be sure to click the like button and leave a comment below. Or better yet, become a subscriber and become a part of Kitty's army. And if you really want to do yourself a favour, check out my new show coming out this spring in 2020 called Comedians in Houses Fixing Faucets. That's right, comedians in houses fixing faucets. Let the craziness begin in April. Okay, here we are, getting ready to wire this baby up. I want to show you how to do a couple of things, but before that, I want to show you what it looks like if you want to dress for safety because you're afraid of electricity. So if you're afraid of electricity and it scares you, I'm going to show you how you might want to dress before you wire up a simple thing like this. Okay, now I'm ready to put on some wire nuts, and I'm pretty sure that if I was to get electrocuted right now, that no electricity would go into my eyeballs or up my nose. I definitely don't want any electronics going up my nose. No electricity at all up my nose. At all. Ever. Okay. So, here's how we're going to wire this thing up. I got some brand new wire nuts. I got a cable clamp. I got some steel wool. I got my voltage indicator just to make
Laugh
sure.
and learn from this handyman with Kitty, hold this by his side. Fixing stuff in a serious way with a not so serious guy.
I'm going to use this steel wool and I'm going to clean off. I'm just going to tidy up and clean the old wire connection so that I get clean copper. You want clean copper. Now we're going to make ourselves a clean copper connection, but first we got to feed this thing through and put on one of these guys. This is a wire clamp. Okay, you see that guy back in there? That's this thing that I put on. This is called a cable clamp. And all it does is it keeps that wire nice and tight so that the wire can't go back through. And in the event that this area right here heats up or gets too warm or too hot or there's a fire, it'll prevent fire from going back through that wall. It's a safety measure. It's a safety measure. So now I'm going to show you how to put on a wire nut. What you want to do, first of all, after you've done all your testing and stuff, of course, you want to twist these. Since there's only two, it's a hell of a lot easier when you're just doing 2 wires. However, you want to put those 2 wires nice and together and then just twist until you can't twist anymore. Do that with this one too. Now we safely tuck all that stuff back in. Don't forget about our ground wire, which goes back in there. Okay, that's it. Heater's done. It's installed. All we got to do is put a couple screws in it and make sure it's level, and we're all good. I'm going to wrap up in just a second, and we'll figure out what we learned. In the meantime, please hit the like button if you like this video. That's how I know to keep doing it. And if you want to go even further, make a few comments. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you hated. Lord knows I'm going to hear about it anyway. So this is what you get at Mom's house when you fix her stuff. Look, say hi, Mom.
Hi.
This is what you get.
Oh.
I get a nice dinner with 2 beautiful ladies.
Hi.
All because I fixed a heater.
Yeah.
Good boy. You know what, Kitty? This was a great episode. I thought it was going to be really easy and really short, like a slam dunk, like bang, boom, bing. We were going to be out of here. But instead, we learned so much cool stuff. What did we learn today, Kitty? You're quiet. You're awfully quiet today. It's so hard not to love you. What did we learn? You ready to wire up Philly or what, Kitty? I'm sure you learned a lot. I learned that lazy, stupid electricians can cost you a lot of money. And I busted that guy. That's right. I busted that guy. I called his boss and told on him because that's a very unsafe situation. You shouldn't be telling people you can diagnose electrical problems when you don't know how to use a voltage meter. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm talking like Larry David all of a sudden. Anyway, we learned how to put on a wire nut. That was cool, huh? A lot of people, maybe you didn't know how to put on a wire nut. They look really simple to me because I've been doing them all my life. Not all my life, been doing them for a while. We learned how to use a cable clamp connector so we could properly wire the box. We learned how to use a voltage indicator. Let's see. Nope, nothing coming through there. We learned how to use a voltage indicator, a smart tool. A good one costs you like $15 to $20. $15 to $20 for a good one, and I guarantee you it'll save your life. Or better yet, it'll allow you to tell your foreman, hey, no way I'm touching that wire until I get you a lockout and a tag out. All right. We learned how to use YouTube so that you can look up how to properly use a voltage meter, because that's how I learned how to use a voltage meter. And I'm not teaching that class anytime soon, if at all, ever. Probably never teach that class, so find it somewhere else. We learned that I am not a real electrician, but I play one on TV today. Seriously, I'm not a real electrician. I'm a low voltage guy, man. You know, like I really dig the colors in the wires, and I can cut down a couple hundred pair for you in just a few short hours, huh? You know what, Kitty? I want to give a shout out to my mom in this episode because, well, she let me come over and fix her heater and film it and all that stuff and teach you guys. If it wasn't for her broken heater, we wouldn't even have an episode today. So thank you, Mom. And thanks for taking care of my kids. And thanks for feeding me whenever I come over to fix something. She always feeds me. Can't you tell? All right. And last but not least, at the end of every episode, I want to give some type of recognition or shout out to one of my favorite comedians, whoever inspires me. And this week I was inspired by none other than Mr. Jim Carrey, one of my favorite comedians of all time. And just for that, I'm going to give you guys my one of my Jim Carrey impressions. Okay, this is from, Kitty, you ready? This is from, oh, you got something on you. This is from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Why don't you cry about it, saddlebags? Until next time, you guys, please click the like button and subscribe and leave a comment so that I know what you like. And that's about it. Kitty, do you have anything to add? No, silent as usual. So until next time, guys, she's Kitty Holdis, and I'm Tommy Highland. And we'd like to thank you for letting us bring a little bit of humor onto your job site today, because not only do I appreciate you watching my videos, but I appreciate you and what you bring to the table. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.